There's a famous scene in From Here to Eternity where two lovers are in an embrace on the beach and waves come crashing in quite dramatically. The more irreverent side of me has always thought, gosh, that'd be a lot of sand in the budgie smugglers, but of course it's meant to be very romantic and is regarded as one of the all-time great love scenes captured on film. And I guess that's why From Here to Eternity never really appealed to me. It was always the old film with that scene on the beach. And while I don't think I'm cold-hearted by any stretch, I just don't go out of my way to watch romantic films in general, let alone 69-year-old ones. One day, however, I learned, quite randomly as I recall, that From Here to Eternity is set in Hawaii, leading up to and during the attack on Pearl Harbor. Oh, that's more interesting, I thought. Then I learned that Frank Sinatra was in it. Cranky Frankie? Okay, even better. Then I learned the film had actually won 8 Academy Awards out of 13 nominations, including for Best Picture, Best Director for Fred Zimmerman, Adapted Screenplay, Supporting Actor for Frank Sinatra, and Supporting Actress for Donna Reed. Okay, now it sounded like a genuine cut above the average 1950s flick. I guess I'd better watch this thing. And so I did. While the film does indeed include the attack on Pearl Harbor, in a combination of what appears to be newsreel footage and footage shot especially for the film, I want to say up front it's reasonably brief. So yes, this is a war film of sorts, and there are Japanese Zeros, strafing troops, there are guys on the roof of their barracks blazing away with Browning automatic rifles, ships blow up, the whole 9 yards. Unfortunately, that attack makes up what feels like about 5 minutes of screen time. The bulk of From Here to Eternity is about, well, relationships. The illicit relationship that a sergeant, played by Burt Lancaster, is having with his captain's wife, played by Deborah Kerr. The more wholesome, but not altogether straightforward relationship that a private, played by Montgomery Clift, is having with a hostess from a local nightclub, played by Donna Reed. The semi-bromance that Clift's character has with Frank Sinatra's character, and so on and so forth. Clift's character, who is at the centre of the film, is a complex guy who has left a really cushy bugler role stateside, but has decided to transfer to a rifle platoon stationed in Hawaii because although he's a fantastic bugler, which gets shown a few times in the film actually, he got overlooked for a lesser bugler who had better connections, and he's a bit hurt about it. Now, this seems a really weak motivation to run away to Hawaii, if I'm honest, and initially it makes his character feel like he might be a bit precious. This is quickly offset, however, when we learn he's a boxer who blinded a friend in the ring and has vowed never to box again. He's also hazed mercilessly by the NCOs of the rifle company, precisely because he won't fight on their boxing team, and he stands up to the physical and mental torture they dish out like a real champ. So, although there's the bugle thing going on in the storyline, his actions and reactions in the film show he's not weak and he's not precious at all. The relationships that Clift's character has with the hostess, with Cranky Frankie, with the sergeant having the affair, with the NCOs, and so on, are really all at the heart of the film. It's a lot to chew on and naturally spoilerific if I go into any of these relationships in any detail. Of course, it also needs to be noted that being a movie made in the early 1950s, the language, the attitudes and so on, take a slight recalibration in your mind. Interestingly, I'm told the book it's based on was probably a little more modern than the film. Reed's hostess character in the novel, for example, is actually a prostitute. Another character has a hysterectomy in the novel caused by an unfaithful husband transmitting gonorrhea to her, but in the film that character's hysterectomy was from a miscarriage. Also in the novel, several of the enlisted men fraternize with homosexuals, and one soldier commits suicide as a result, but homosexuality isn't even mentioned in the film. Although I'm generally anti-remakes, all of this did make me wonder whether a remake of From Here to Eternity could be a good idea. I quickly learned there was actually a 1980 miniseries starring Natalie Wood, who even won a Golden Globe for it, which seemed to draw on the novel a little more, for example returning the hostess to her original prostitute role and so on. But even that miniseries is now over 40 years old, of course, so is it time to revisit the story again? Maybe it is. I think there are some really interesting characters in this story. It's set against a beautiful backdrop and has the added inclusion of the Pearl Harbor attack. That's some pretty good material to work with right there, and I can see why it's regarded now as a classic story. But anyway, what do you think? Have you seen the film? Or were you like me and have put it off for years? Are you interested in seeing the film? Have you ever read the novel? Do you think another remake would work? Why not let me know down below in the comments?